Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're jumping right into a seriously confusing mystery. Chevrolet's sudden decision to kill the beloved Bolt. Again. I mean, for a second time. You know, the EV industry moves fast, but the absolute whiplash surrounding this specific car has pretty much left everyone stunned. So let's break down exactly what happened, why it happened, and what this all means for the future of affordable electric cars.
What if I told you Chevrolet just made one of the most confusing decisions in EV history? Seriously, think about this for a second. How could a massive automaker bring back a fan-favorite electric vehicle, literally because the public was practically demanding it, only to suddenly pull the plug on it all over again? I mean, it sounds like a script for a corporate drama, right? But this is exactly what just played out at General Motors.
Yep, the Bolt is canceled. Again. Despite fans actively demanding its return, the electric car that absolutely refused to die is facing the end once more. You heard that right. After a totally triumphant comeback was promised to us, the Bolt is officially canceled again. But to really understand why this is such a massive shock to the system, we have to look at what this little car actually represented to people.
So think about the classic EV stereotype for a second. What immediately comes to mind? Usually it's vehicles that are blazing fast, incredibly flashy, and, let's be honest, overwhelmingly expensive. But the Chevy Bolt? It was the ultimate underdog. It wasn't draped in luxury, sure, but it was intensely practical and remarkably affordable. It was an actual option that millions of Americans truly wanted and, more importantly, could realistically fit into their everyday budgets.
The sequence of events here is just wild. Look at this timeline. The first generation Bolt ended production back in 2023, and pretty much everyone thought the story was over, right? But then, shortly after, Chevrolet totally shocked the industry by announcing a major comeback. Fans were literally rejoicing. But fast forward to right now, and we're looking at an incredibly abrupt reversal. The comeback is officially off the table.
And what makes this so crazy is that the promised comeback wasn't just some simple re-release of the old car. No, Chevrolet was planning to give the Bolt a serious, proper second chance. We were promised better technology inside the cabin, improved efficiency on the road, modernized styling, and most importantly, GM's next-generation battery platform under the hood. It was really gearing up to be a phenomenal value.
So why pull the plug? It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? With all that exciting momentum, all that amazing promise, and a totally established fan base, why on earth did Chevrolet decide to cancel it yet again? Why completely abandon a project that seemed like an absolute guaranteed hit for budget-conscious consumers?
Well, the primary answer to that mystery comes down to one single heavy word: competition. Competition in the EV space today isn't just about who has the coolest or fastest car anymore. No, it's about the intense, crushing pressure of a highly crowded market. And that pressure makes building and selling affordable electric vehicles infinitely harder, and way harder to do profitably than ever before.
Just take a look at these competitive threats. Three massive external pressures basically crushed the Bolt's viability. First off, you've got Tesla relentlessly cutting their prices, which totally lowers the ceiling on what people are willing to pay. Second, Chinese EV makers are expanding globally at a breakneck pace with incredibly cheap tech. And third, nearly every major legacy automaker is launching their own electric models right now. The whole EV landscape transformed overnight into a deeply aggressive battleground.
So how did General Motors react to this battlefield? Well, they completely shifted their strategy. GM's old approach included compact, affordable electric cars like the Bolt, which, to be fair, only made them a tiny profit, or margin, per vehicle. But their new corporate strategy? They're pivoting heavily toward large, expensive, high-margin electric SUVs and pickup trucks. Basically, management believes bigger vehicles are going to generate much higher profits and insulate them from these intense price wars.
Every dollar matters. That quote right there perfectly captures the harsh financial reality GM is facing. Look, even though battery prices have slowly improved over time, building a genuinely affordable EV is incredibly difficult. These companies are under massive pressure to stay profitable while simultaneously pouring billions into next-generation tech. On a cheap car, the profit margins are just razor thin. When every single dollar matters, the math on the Bolt simply got too tricky.
And ultimately, this is the hard truth of the situation. The Bolt simply no longer fits into GM's long-term strategy. Despite its massive popularity and deeply loyal fan base, keeping it alive just doesn't align with the financial realities of General Motors' broader corporate vision anymore. It was a fantastic car for the consumer, for sure, but it was basically standing in the way of the high-margin, large vehicle future that GM is betting the whole company on.
However, a disappointing corporate pivot like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum, right? It leaves a massive, glaring gap in the market for affordable EVs. We're talking about a major void for everyday families and regular commuters who are actively out there looking for budget-friendly electric transportation. Honestly, if you aren't looking to drop $60,000 or $70,000 on a massive electric SUV today, your options are suddenly looking incredibly thin.
The real tragedy here is just how perfect the Bolt was for transitioning regular drivers to electric. Look at why first-time buyers chose the Bolt. It was arguably America's best value EV. It proved definitively that going electric didn't have to completely drain your bank account. With impressive range, super low operating costs, and everyday practicality, it was often the only EV on the market that actually made financial sense for a normal family.
Which leads us to a much broader industry-wide concern. Are we looking at slowing EV adoption? With fewer budget-friendly choices sitting on dealership lots right now, a cancellation like this could significantly slow down the widespread shift to EVs. Think about it. If the average family gets completely priced out of the market because all the affordable options are being swapped for luxury trucks, this whole transition to electric vehicles could hit a massive speed bump.
So, after all of this, after the insane whiplash of corporate decisions, the broken promises, and the sudden cancellations, we have to ask the ultimate question. Is this truly the end of the Chevrolet Bolt? Or, knowing what we know about this little car's history, is there any chance history might just repeat itself all over again?
You know, in the volatile auto industry, you can honestly never say never. Things just change incredibly fast. Corporate strategies evolve yearly, consumer demand shifts constantly based on the economy, and, as we've literally already seen with the Bolt itself, these massive companies are entirely capable of reversing multi-million-dollar decisions the second the market winds shift.
Whether it stays dead for good this time or miraculously returns, one thing is absolutely for sure. The Bolt is the ultimate comeback kid. It remains one of America's most talked about electric cars, not because it was some technological marvel that beat sports cars off the starting line, but because it was this incredible underdog that kept making some of the biggest, most totally unexpected comebacks in automotive history.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a massive question to ponder. Knowing the intense competition and the high costs of batteries, should Chevrolet actually try to keep the Bolt alive? Or is it simply time to move on to a completely new, affordable EV from scratch? It's a super complex problem with zero easy answers. As you watch where this volatile market heads next, let us know, what do you value most in the future of transportation?